Hi everybody, I'm Mike Hardin, the owner of Hardin Graphics, and this is part 2, episode 2 of the history of Hardin Graphics. In the first episode we talked about the early beginnings of bear bags in the family and how Bill came to own and start Hardin Graphics. It started in 1972 with an agreement between my mother and my brother Bill that he was going to open up his own company, and my mother was going to be his client, and so that was the very, very beginning. So Bill in 1972 rented this beautiful shop on 738 West 17th Street. You know, it was a big unit, and my mother was his only customer at the time. And the good news is that there were not that many silk screeners at the time. And he was one of the very first in Orange County, textile printing. So Bill had a dream. He wanted to build a 54-foot Hershoff sailboat, and he wanted to build it in his shop and cruise the world. So his very first year, with the money that he made from Arlene Bear, he was able to pay his rent, and he started accumulating woodworking tools, and he was putting them in the back of the shop for this lofty goal of building a boat. And so anyway, that first year, with my mother being the only customer, he just about starved to death. And he spent most of his time doing woodworking and planning out his boat. But he had enough work to pay his rent and to accumulate some of this stationary woodworking tools that were necessary. But what he also did is he built this loft. It was like a mezzanine above the shop, and this will become important later in the story. There was a loft up there that there was headspace, and you could walk. It was about a 200-foot walk down this mezzanine and went the whole length of the shop. So we'll talk about that loft later. It's very important to the kind of the rest of the story. But so Bill, in his second year, he was suffering and not doing too well. And then an old buddy of his named Steve McCandless. They were teammates. They played on the Newport Harbor track team. We're old buddies. And Steve McCandless and his dad, Dr. Don, started a company called Hobie Skateboards. And Steve found his way over to Hardin Graphics, and they had a great reunion. Steve could see the great potential that Bill had for them. So they were very close by, like down the street. And so they talked business. Bill needed some cash for lumber to build jigs to support the printing of these various things. So the very first thing that was made was a jig for printing the skateboards. And Hobie had these multicolored skateboards printed on a kind of fiberglass shape. Hobie Skateboards was one of the very first very first suppliers on a large scale of skateboards. They sold to Sears, Penny's, and so they had a lot of volume. And Bill was printing these skateboards and with these jigs that he built. And they came back at him and said, "Can you print knee guards, elbow guards, helmets?" So Bill just started doing all of their production at our shop. So anyway, that account with my mother's was the one that really got him up out of the garage style shop to a real functioning shop. And about this time, all of our family was starting to work for Hardin Graphics. My little niece Audrey was doing filing for my mother and Bill, and my brother Steve was working for Bill as a printer. I was just returning from Vietnam, and I wasn't available because I was going to school on the GI Bill. And 3 or 4 years later, I would show up at the doors of Hardin Graphics looking for some help, support, work, that kind of a thing. So anyway, they did real well, and this went on for about 5-6 years. Hobie Skateboards is very, very successful, and the shop was booming at the time. Bill was so busy that he couldn't get to his boat building, and how we doing, hon? Is that about it? Okay. Anyway, I hope this is interesting to you. It is to us. This is also, we're chronicalizing this story for my grandchildren too. So it's a good thing, and I hope you enjoy it. And we're going to do this next week. I'm going to be on the road next week. I'm traveling up to Yellowstone in the Tetons and Mount Rushmore with my beautiful wife Lynn. So we'll probably do this next Friday from some remote area. I don't know where I'm going to be. Next Thursday? What?
We'll do it next Thursday.
Okay, we're going to do this next Thursday. Anyway, thank you very much. Have a great day, everybody. See ya.